on today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to do a segment we like to call Just Gear Talk. And the Beard's going to tell you what we're going to be yakking about.
Yeah, I think tonight we are discussing pedals.
Yes.
Pedals. We're discussing... I'm sorry. The last time, one of the last videos, that like little screen was always in the way. So right as we started, that caught my eye. We are discussing pedals, but more specifically, we're discussing reverb. And so we have, if you think about like reverb pedals, tremolo pedals, Leslie pedals, vibe pedals, delay pedals especially, right? We have handfuls of these things sitting around. So we thought it would be interesting to take a handful of reverb pedals at different price points. Mm-hmm. And just talk about them a little bit. Maybe not a complete demo into each one. This does open us up to being able to maybe come back and like really dive into each pedal specifically. I can tell you right now, two of the pedals on here have already been on the show a little bit. So maybe if you're interested in those, when we get to those, I'll put in the cards where you can find out more about those. So anyway, on the pedal board, what we have today is we needed a drive pedal. It's really kind of funny, you know, like we're sitting here looking around the room with drive pedal. We purposely avoided Lovepedal for the drive because we've had so many Love pedals on the show. We thought it was time to
hashtag fanboys.
Yeah, hashtag do something different, right? So we ended up with the Highwayman Overdrive, which is I think Pat, you bought this in a Rutter's parking lot for like $25,
and it was raining. Which I think other times you bought something in the parking lot, yes. It was raining. Maybe that's a sign.
It is a sign.
Yes, $25 purchase. We do have that one. Pleasant surprise.
Yeah. It's a good. I mean, it's not that much more expensive on Amazon. I don't remember what it costs.
No, not much more.
Much more. And it's a good, just, you know, I think we kind of likened it to like when we were poor and in college and couldn't afford to buy anything.
Right.
They didn't have stuff like this around. This quality and...
You could afford things because you were breeding reptiles, but that's a whole nother story for another day.
That's a whole other show.
This is his new side hustle, and his wife is way more happy with this one.
This one, right? Yeah. That's awesome. So the Kayleen Highwayman Overdrive. So then what we have on the board is 4 basic reverbs. So these don't have the special features. Like, they don't have shimmer built into them and stuff like that. Now, we have, maybe in another show, some other, maybe more high-end reverbs that have some of that we'll get into. But we wanted, like, if you just want a reverb, like, you just are plugging into an amp, no reverb on the amp, you want something to take, here's 4 different price points. Mm-hmm. So, starting with the Biyang, which I think has been on the show at some point.
It has, because I went, Biyang, because I was trying to pronounce it, but I won't do that again.
Right. The Tri Reverb. So you're looking maybe $50. Yep. We're rounding numbers. Then we jump to the Skysurfer, the TC Electronics Skysurfer. This is kind of like one of their budget line of pedals, I think, that they don't have tone prints and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
We're jumping up maybe to the $75 range. Then we jump over to the, and that was, there's a YouTube where we went through a whole bunch of their pedals for a Black Friday sale last year. Then we jump over to the Rotary Reverb, which we recently did on a show, which we love this pedal. And I think we said price of admission on this pedal is worth it for the reverb or for the Rotary stuff.
Yeah.
So we just decided we would.
Has the word reverb right on it, so we're not really stretching too much for that.
Price range on that, you know, if you pick it up from Shawn Michaels on the Lovepedal sale, it's probably about $100. If you go to Reverb and buy one used, it's probably around there. I have not seen new ones for sale for a while.
Right.
But that's a sleeper pedal. Find that.
It's a fantastic pedal.
And then Dispatch Master, which made its first appearance on the very first episode that we did.
We were sitting back there.
Yep. With
substandard lights and looking like Jabba the Hutt. But we moved up to the stools. Look at us.
Better lights, better camera.
But still, same ugly mugs.
Right. It hasn't done much to improve the situation.
I need the Barbara Walters soft lens.
So what does this mean? So pulling out a Supra.
Also on a previous show.
Yeah, also, I mean, like, some of the stuff is making its rounds to the show now. Actually, probably one of our first episodes, and still probably one of the most watched episodes.
Yeah, it's a great guitar.
It is. Supro Hampton. 3 single coilish gold foil pickups in it. And I tell you, man, I bought it used, but it's one of the best guitar purchases I've made in a long time.
He said before it was his favorite Strat, and immediately all of the Strat people checked out. So don't check out this time. Let's hang with this because we're talking about reverb.
I'm not sure I agree with that anymore. I'm not sure if it's my favorite Strat anymore, but man, it's a great guitar.
It is.
All right, so we're plugged. This is plugged into a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe 112, and of course, the reverb is. So we're really dry. We got.
I need a drink.
Yeah, it's painful. So, like I said, we're not going to run through.
You're going to flip a couple switches on the Biyang, but
I'm going to let you direct that a little bit. So, on the first one, let's start cheapest pedal.
Sure.
And again, this is if you just need a reverb pedal to put at the end of your chain because the amp you have doesn't have reverb.
It sounds like that.
It sounds like that, and you want a little something. So, cool thing, try reverb. You have a, what do you have?
You have a Hall, Spring, and Room on the first toggle switch, and then you have an A and B on the bottom toggle switch, and the 2 knobs are Blend and Time.
So, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Hall, Spring, and Room. Mm-hmm. Can't go wrong with that.
No.
So you actually get and then you have an A version of Hall, Spring and Room, and a B version. And what we kind of decided kind of pre-show here was that A is a little bit longer.
Right.
And B is a little bit shorter. So we could show that. So this is...
You'll see that because we're going to leave... I think we're going to leave both of the dials 50, right? Straight up.
Right.
And we're just going to flip A to B and flip maybe Hall.
I wouldn't use it probably both straight up. Right. But it will come through on the recording. So we're just doing like... So that's A. So B gets a little shorter, A was a little longer.
Less of a tail. Now we're going to go to the other...
Sure.
All right, we're going to go all the way up to Hall, and we're going to go back to A. Timmy fell in the well. And then we're going to go back to B.
So not near as long.
Right, and then we'll go to, make sure I got that right. Now we're on Spring, A. So.
Yeah. And we started on what?
You were down, all the way down.
All the way down.
And over. I think that's where we started. Brings us back to no.
So yeah, lots of options there. I mean, when you're talking lowest price point,
right?
And I will say that this pedal is well loved. And some of the message boards on Facebook and things you see, whenever somebody asks about like a good reverb pedal, you'll see this pedal pop up. Low price point, I think holds up. I mean, I've had it for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I haven't gigged it hard. I haven't traveled with it. And a lot of options. So it's kind of versatile.
Yep.
For $50. Skysurfer.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, what were you going to say?
Well, I don't know if you want to do the drive through any of these, or we'll just save that to the end. But
yeah.
All right, so now you have the Skysurfer, a TC Electronic, that shockingly enough, a little bit different. Spring, plate, and Hall. And this is on Spring. And I don't think you're going to really turn the knobs too much on this. We might flip through the different...
We can flip down through.
Yeah. So we'll start with the Spring.
And honestly, this is set exactly where it was set when we finished with it the last episode we used it on. Which was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So would you say it's Spring?
Yes. A little darker, a little shorter.
Plate?
Yeah.
And then Hall?
Hall, yeah. So the controls are dialed back a little bit more than the Tri Reverb.
So do you want to bring them up?
You could take them.
Reverb up, mix up. What's this tone? Let's just do it. Run through them again real quick.
Right.
At 50?
I'll flip you up. Still, that spring cuts out pretty quickly. There's the plate.
I'm not feeling a lot of difference between the last two. Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure if we're supposed to do this now, but I like the Biyang better so far. And that's my pedal, by the way. And that's his pedal, by the way.
So we're at the $75 price point.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of knob tweaking here for people. We've done some more, behind the scenes to help form those opinions too. But yeah,
I find the Biyang to be warmer, even though the settings were not exactly the same, but going 50%. So,
all right. Next, we have the Rotary Reverb. And so if you look at it, it has a reverb, a mix, a speed, and a volume. Where the volume knob is set on that right now is probably about unity. The mix being all the way off takes the rotary sound out. So we're not getting any rotary in there. We're just looking at reverb. And it's turned up to about what? A little bit more than 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So if we turn that on, do we need to do dry? No.
Nope.
Just turn that on. Turn the volume on. So. And so I think on this one we could spin a little bit, like we could bring it up a little. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty good, like 10-ish.
So the thing with this pedal to me that I like about this one is that's it. It's a knob.
Right. Because
it's
it's a plus. Because it's a Rotary plus. And you should check out the video. He probably already put the card up there. But yeah, so the last two aren't really a one for the others. Now, so the other two we said had more features as just a reverb. Now this is a reverb and more. And as we get to the Dispatch Master in a minute, you'll see that it's a reverb and more. But even just the reverb half of each of those pedals is a pretty nice reverb.
Yeah, I like it because it's one knob. I do like that. I mean, I'm a one knob, like...
Well, because on an amp, reverb is one knob.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Right.
So when you start putting three knobs on the... I mean, it makes sense. And if we get into something like the Matthews Effects Astronomer or the Lovepedal that you have that also has like the shimmer on it, we start getting into some of those types of pedals, then we have more features. But one knob sometimes, if you just want a little bit of reverb,
right,
that's cool. Right. And so that first episode we did, this was the bonus pedal. You can tell which pedals are getting the most play because the two on the end have Velcro on the bottom and the rest are sliding around.
Don't get too comfortable because you're going to go back on the shelf, is what that says.
So the Dispatch Master,
about $200.
$200 new.
Yes.
And honestly, I love this pedal because it has delay and it has reverb.
Right.
And the way it integrates together is really cool. And what I like about it, and so let's just what I like about it, what I like about you. Copyright infringement.
Exactly. We just lost all the royalties to this video. Thank you, Jason.
So, if we turn the reverb all the way down, I do have it set kind of the way I like a delay pedal, which has that, which is it's over exaggerated because I like the two repeats, right?
That and Friday the 13th is his favorite movie.
So, with just the delay, still pretty dry in a reverb. Now we can roll that up a little bit. For some reason I couldn't hit that chord. But yeah, we can roll that up a little bit, and so you get to bring that in. So again, you said like a plus. It's not a reverb pedal.
Right.
It's a delay reverb in it. It's a rotary reverb in it. So they're a little bit different, higher price point. The Dispatch Master, though, to me is like a Swiss Army knife. If you don't know what amp you're getting into, it's a great pedal to have there sitting at the end of your chain to get what you need.
Right. Speaking of, let's see if we can get some reverb out of this. How about that? Can we
Now,
the Leatherman?
the Leatherman Swiss Army knife.
No, is there any reverb in that? No? Okay. I didn't touch the mic, though. I did pretty good. That's the value I add to the show. Right before he said Swiss Army knife, I see that Leatherman sitting over there, and then he segued right to where I could go grab it and waste another 2.5 minutes on the video.
Should we do a review of that real quick?
Yeah, that's right. We jokingly said that we were going to
have
do
one product.
Yeah. The Leatherman by Ronco.
Down in the description, we'll put a link to that.
Yeah, that's
right. So, yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, we might come back and dive deeper, dive deeper into the Tri Reverb at some point. But we just kind of wanted to talk about some different price point reverbs.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a lot of pedal snobs out there. There's a lot of gear snobs out there.
We kind of are, but not really.
I mean, in some ways.
Yeah.
But in some ways, we're not, too, because, you know, here's the Highwayman that, and you'll hear that in a second, that you can get relatively cheap, get a nice overdrive sound out of. Here's the Tri Reverb from Biyang. You don't have to go buy Source Audio's Ventress or a Big Sky from Strymon if you're just looking for a little bit of reverb on your amp.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you're looking for the big pads, if you're looking to do like the MIDI controlled stuff, you're looking to do swell, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But even like Etsy was using New Neighbor Wet for his swells and stuff instead of going with something like the Big Sky or the Source Audio Ventress or something like that. So
to prove that we're not gear snobs, after we do our little spiel, we're going to have about $100 worth of pedals on to close out, right? You're going to go...
Right, let's do the Highwayman
and Tri Reverb.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love the Dispatch Master, I think to play out, and we'll leave it on A to start with, and I'll flip it over to B at some point. We're just going to play out with those, you know, for the price of one of those.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we might dive into some of these reverbs more in a later show. Or we might bring in like the Matthew effects and some of the other reverbs that we have. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. If you've been with us this long, definitely click like on the video. We love having you here. We love the conversation. Leave us some comments because we're looking forward to doing another. We asked for this episode, but we need some comments to do that on. So I guess with that,
I'm PJ, on behalf of the Beard, reminding you that no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. Like a explosion.
Just happened. Whew. Holy crap, halfway through there, one of these hairs must have went up into my nose. And I'm trying so hard not to, like, rub my nose.
You're like thinking you're having a moment. You're like, oh.